Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the October 2020 meeting of the Omaha Public Power District Board of Directors. Thank you all for joining us. We are in the legislative chamber of the Omaha Douglas Civic Center, and many of us are remote as well. I hope you and your loved ones are staying safe and healthy. With me today in the room are my fellow board members, Amanda Bogner, Mike Kavanaugh, Tim Gay, Ann McGuire, Janice Malhoff, Eric Williams, and Rick Yoder. We also have President and CEO Tim Burke to my right, our General Counsel Steve Bruckner with the Fraser Stryker Law Firm, and other members of our board meeting support staff. OPPD senior management team members and subject matter experts are participating in today's meeting remotely via WebEx. And additionally, we have, there's nobody present from the public here, which is good. They followed our instructions to attend remotely, and we likely have a few in attendance on WebEx as well. As a reminder to board members and senior management OPPD staff, if you're on WebEx, please mute your microphones to reduce background noise. To members of the public, thank you for attending. If you did indeed join us via WebEx, you are in listen-only mode. If you have any technology questions, please use the chat feature in WebEx to communicate with the event host. If you are disconnected from the WebEx conference, we ask that you rejoin in the same manner as when you originally joined. I will now ask President Burke to give the safety briefing. Mr. Burke.
Thank you, Chairman Moody. For the folks in the room, board members and staff, general counsel, and others, on the screen shows the safety briefing here for the Douglas County Civic Center. We want to thank them, Douglas County group, for allowing us to meet here and being able to social distance. We were not able to do that in the OPPD facility. So great to allow them, great for them to allow us to be here today. So there's a safety briefing for this room. Just the reminders that I would share is do not use the elevators in case of a fire. And if you have a medical condition, please write it down or tell your neighbor. And the briefing that we gave on Tuesday was very similar to this, in that we have 10 actions for every Nebraskan to be taking now to slow the spread of COVID-19. And, you know, any news station that's covering specific news around COVID is talking about an increase going on across this community, across actually the Midwest. And so we have to be vigilant in what we're doing. OPPD will be issuing a yellow communication tomorrow to our employees, which we will cascade that to all employees within a specific amount of time around the vigilance around social distancing and wearing a mask and not attending large gatherings in public. Also, the value and the benefit of the mask is identified in this chart here, and it does work. I'll tell you personally, I've had the healthiest year that I have ever had in my life because I haven't shaken any hands, and I've wore my mask in public, at work, and so it does work. There's no doubt about that. So please be safe and remain healthy. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Burke. Thank you, Mr. Burke. Okay, so let's talk through the guidelines for conduct of the meeting. This regular board meeting will follow the agenda made available to the public on oppd.com. The meeting is being conducted in person and via WebEx events and is being recorded and will be posted later. Our board meetings have public comment periods on the agenda. Comments made by all parties during the meeting are a part of the official public record. Following board discussion on each pending matter, I will ask for public comment before bringing the matter to a vote. Also, prior to the adjournment of the meeting, right at the very end, you will have an opportunity to comment on any other matters of OPPD business. We will take comments via WebEx and in the room if anyone arrives. Let's review, for those of you on WebEx, the two options. Option one, as you're seeing now, which involves sending the meeting technology host a message using the chat feature, simply stating that you wish to speak. Ms. Hinders, can you walk us through option one?
Yes, thank you, Chair Moody. For those who have joined us using a computer or WebEx mobile app, you will find a button in your WebEx interface to open the chat panel. Once opened, you may send your message to the meeting technology host. Requests to provide comments will be relayed to Chair Moody for recognition during the public comments section.
Thank you very much. Option two, which is now being displayed, involves the hand raise feature. Ms. Hinders?
WebEx allows attendees to virtually raise their hand. You may use this feature to indicate to OPPD that you wish to be recognized to provide comments. The hand raise button is located in the participant list panel as displayed on this slide. After you have provided your comments, please press the hand raise button again to virtually lower your hand. Additionally, for those who have joined the meeting using only a telephone, WebEx has a hand raise feature that is activated by pressing *3 to raise and lower your hand. When we see your hand raise, we will acknowledge you by referencing a portion of your telephone number. For example, caller with the phone number beginning in 402123. If you wish to provide comments when recognized, please wait a brief moment to be unmuted and begin speaking.
Thank you, Ms. Henners. So I will allow plenty of time at each opportunity for public comment for members of the public to provide notification via WebEx. We'll be patient with you. When I call on a member of the public to speak, our meeting technology host will unmute your microphone. Before commencing your comments, I suggest you first affirm that we can hear you. Once we do, please state your name and address and state the name of any organization or person you are representing. Each individual will be allotted 3 minutes per matter pending at the discretion of the board. To assist you, we will display a timer to ensure each member of the public receives a consistent amount of time. Ms. Henners will signal you when 30 seconds remain, as well as when time is up. Please direct your comments to me. I will either respond to you directly or defer response to another board member or officer of the district. If you have written materials, please email them to Ms. Henners at mfhenners, that's MFHINNERS @OPPD.com. She will receive them on our behalf and distribute. In summary, we're going to take WebEx comments first. If anyone arrives to the meeting in person, we'll take those next. As you look at the agenda, please note that the board has one action item, which is to say everything is on consent agenda. So you're really going to have 2 opportunities for public comment. One is at the end of consent, and the other is right before adjournment when we have our opportunity for comment on other items of district business. Ms. Henners, will you please take the roll call?
Wagner,
Here.
Kavanaugh.
Here.
Gay,
Here.
McGuire,
Here.
Mulhoff,
Here.
Moody,
Here.
Williams,
Here.
Yoder.
Here.
Notice of the time and place of this meeting was publicized by notifying the area news media, by publicizing same in outlets newsletter and on OPPD.com, by displaying such notice on the arcade level of Energy Plaza since October 9th, 2020, and by emailing such notice to each of the district's directors on that same date. A copy of the proposed agenda for this meeting has been maintained on a current basis and is readily available for public inspection in the office of the district's corporate secretary. Additionally, a copy of the Opens Meeting Act is available for inspection on OPPD.com and in this meeting room. The consent agenda items for this afternoon are as follows. Item 6, approval of the August 2020 Comprehensive Financial and Operating Report, September 2020 meeting minutes, and the October 14th, 2020 agenda. Item 7, Nebraska City Station Unit 1, Deer Aerator Dome Replacement Labor Contract Award, Resolution Number 6395. Item 8, Nebraska City Station Unit 2, Reheater Upper Bank Replacement Labor Contract Award, Resolution Number 6396. Item 9, Jones Street Unit 1 Repair Parts and Services, Request to Negotiate, Resolution Number 6397. And item 10, SD12 Information Management and Security Monitoring Report, Resolution Number 6398. If there are no corrections, changes, or additions to the consent agenda items, I need a motion and a second to approve the items.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, thank you for those motions. We discussed these in detail yesterday, as a matter of fact, so we're not going to have any board comment. I'll open it up for public comment now. If any members of the public would like to make a comment on these consent agenda items, please send a chat to the meeting host or use the hand raise feature in WebEx. As a reminder, if you're the telephone user out there, and I do see one, please press *3 to raise your virtual hand. We'll pause for a moment to allow anyone to notify us that they would like to make a comment. Okay, I've not seen any hands raised. Posted, we had a meeting, or we had a chat request.
We have no chat request, Chair Moody.
Okay. Pausing for one more second. Okay, we'll go ahead and call that closed. Ms. Henners, will you call the roll, please?
Bogdan,
Yes.
Kavanaugh,
Yes.
Gay,
Yes.
McGuire,
Yes.
Mulhoff,
Yes.
Moody,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Yoder.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, thank you very much. On to other items. We now have the Electric System Evaluation and Modernization Strategic Initiative Update. That's a mouthful. But I'm just going to kick this right over to you, Mr. Burke, to take it from here.
Sounds good. Thank you very much. As we have done over the past several months, when we are at certain elements in our strategic initiative, we've come to the board to share kind of our scoping of each of our strategic initiatives. And so today, Troy Vi, our Vice President of our Energy Delivery, and Aaron Smith, who is essentially leading the strategic initiative, will be sharing the update with you all today. So looking forward to a good conversation. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Troy, and then we will quickly turn it over to Aaron Smith. Thank you.
Thank you, Tim. We really appreciate the opportunity to provide an update. And as you said, it is a mouthful. A lot of times internally, we just call it grid mod for short. But Aaron Smith, as you mentioned, is the lead of this. He'll be providing an overview to you, just like we have for the decarbonization and the customer initiatives over the past several months. This is one of the 5 large initiatives that we have in the district, and which all inform one another. And Aaron will speak to that a little more too as he goes through the presentation. Aaron is currently the director of our system operations here at OPPD, and thus he keeps the electrons flowing on the grid. And I say currently, he will be transitioning to the director of customer experience sometime in the next few months. He also participates on the board of the largest grid technology conference that takes place in the United States each year, and thus has a passion and insight for this type of technology. With that said, I'll turn it over to Aaron to provide the update.
All right, thank you, Troy. Good afternoon, everyone, members of the board, senior management, and public, and anyone else who may be tuned in to listen. As Troy mentioned, I'm Aaron Smith, the Director of Operations, and I am the Strategic Initiative Manager for the Electric System Evaluation and Modernization Initiative, and it is quite a mouthful. And today I'll be providing an overview and an update on our initiative. If you could go to the next slide, please. So why is this one of our strategic initiatives? Well, there's 5 main drivers and trends that are influencing the need for our initiative. First, we have decarbonization, and as you're well aware, that is also one of our 5 strategic initiatives. And this body, the board, through a strategic directive, has set a target of a net zero carbon by 2050. And so this will not only impact our supply side, but also our transmission, the bulk electric system, and it may also result in more distributed resources. And so it's very likely to fundamentally change the way that we operate the grid. And with these additional distributed resources, we'll have to prepare for the 2-way type of power flows with enhanced monitoring and control to be able to handle that new paradigm of grid operations. We also have changing customer preferences. Companies really pushing that customer experience envelope, like the Verizons and the Amazons of the world, now make it really easy for customers. You can now follow your package on a map with Amazon. They'll actually send you a photo of it delivered on your porch. And even now, if you opt to give them a garage code, they'll actually put your package in the garage. So they're setting the bar really, really high. But the key thing to keep in mind is that it all takes the people, processes, and technology, and it all has to be aligned to make that type of customer experience happen. The next big driver is the electrification of transportation, and we'll see this both in the fleet as well as in private electric vehicle ownership. And each of those provides unique opportunities, but also challenges. In the fleet sense, we're likely to see kind of centralized charging, likely overnight. But on the residential, this may require us as the penetration picks up of electric vehicles, that we may have to manage the localized grid a little bit differently than we do today to account for that. We also, like all utilities, have an aging infrastructure. This is something that the entire industry is facing. It's been 50 plus years since the large build out of the 1960s and 70s. And so this also provides us an opportunity as we refresh our system. It's also an opportunity to modernize some of our components with that refresh. And in addition, the last driver is the technology advancements. In the last decade, there have been significant advancements, and this really surprises no one, as we've seen this all in our daily lives with things like smartphones, iPads, digital assistants, and home automation. Kind of a cute story, my next door neighbors have an 18-month-old little girl, and some of her first words and favorite words are actually, "Hey Google." So it just kind of highlights for you the impact of this new world. And so as we've seen this in our daily lives, there's also been lots of advancements in grid technology and in grid communication that will provide a lot of opportunities for OPPD. And this also includes our fiber network expansion project that we've been executing over the past few years. And one thing to remember, as everything becomes smarter and more connected, we have to continue our sharp focus on security. So as we're implementing operational technology and integrating that with more traditional IT to bring value to the customer, we've got to keep that security piece in mind as we move forward. Next slide, please. So we'll talk a little bit about our objective and goals. So one of our main objectives will be to develop that integrated vision for the modern OPPD electric system. And we want that modern system to deliver customer value by enabling future products and services. It's also been well documented that companies with engaged employees are much more likely to have engaged customers. And so we want to make sure that our employees have the tools in place to be able to deliver on that value. As part of the initiative, we'll be developing our vision that will include advanced metering, as well as enabling electrification and additional products and services. We've implemented some modern solutions in recent years with some good results, and so we will continue to evaluate and create business cases for implementation as we step through this initiative. Also, as part of the initiative, we plan to engage local entities and stakeholders in the process, and also engage with other U.S. utilities on some case studies so that we can learn from what they have implemented in their areas and the value that they've been able to bring to their customers. And as we're stepping through, obviously this is going to be a big change to the way that we operate, and so we'll have to have the change management in place for that people, process, and training to make sure that we're able to execute on our recommendations. And then finally, our overall kind of goal and deliverable for the initiative will be to create a holistic plan and multi-year roadmap that will leverage our system integration. And joining me on this project is our project coordinator, Cheryl McGuire, who will help me kind of run the day-to-day ins and outs of the initiatives. And I'm really pleased to have Cheryl on board. If you progress to the next slide, please. So in order to build the utility of the future, we must really understand the customer of the future. And Heather Siebken's Customer Engagement for the Future initiative, which you were given an update on at a previous meeting, is going to be a major input to our strategic initiative. And so one of the things we've looked to do is lay out here is kind of looking at that voice of the customer. And if we're successful, what our customers might be able to say about us as we move forward. And so one example is with electric vehicles. As OPPD becomes the new fueling station, reliability is going to be very, very important. So it's important that we maintain the high levels of reliability that we do today, and also being able to provide updates as things happen. Just like on your Amazon account, if a delivery is going to change, you get an update. So while we pride ourselves on reliability, when events do happen, we want to be able to provide the best up-to-date information in real time. And also when folks see our crews out and about working in their neighborhoods, they're able to kind of quickly and easily find out, why are they there? What's that crew doing? What kind of work are they doing to help me maintain my reliable service? And then finally, we want to be able to provide convenience and communicate in the channels that our customers prefer. And then also be able to give timely and actionable information on energy use to help our customers save and be more efficient with what they're doing. As I mentioned on the employee side, it's very important to have that engagement so that we're able to deliver that engagement to the customers. And really on the employee side, a lot of it is about having the right data in the right time at the right place to be able to make decisions. So a lot of it can be around having better information on outages to help improve our outage response through technology, and then also be able to have convenient and user-friendly apps for our internal staff, as well as being able to provide that for our customers so that they're able to easily communicate what's happening and we're able to relay that to our customers. Next slide, please. Okay, so this is a bit of a busy slide, but what this is meant to be is a representation of our grid ecosystem. And so the initiative that we have will focus on two key areas. The first is our grid and operational tools, and the second will be on our mobility and core office technology. And both of these have to work together to enable our customer touch points and our products and services, which you can see represented on the far right. So in the green section, we have our grid technology and operational tools. These are the things that keep the electrons flowing and deliver our products safely to our customer owners. And so this includes the monitoring and control, as well as the field hardware assets themselves. And if we take a look at about the current state today, one of the things that we have is a limited visibility between our substations and the end users or the metering points. And today we also have a drive-by meter reading system to collect that data via a vehicle. And so that's kind of our starting point of our current state for that. And one of the things we'll look to do is to modernize that as we step through this initiative. In the blue section, we have our mobility and core office technologies. These systems house information about our customers and our assets and allow for the engineering, the work management, and customer interface processes to run smoothly and deliver on our customers' expectations. A little bit about our current state there. We have deployed some mobile technologies for some of our field crews with great results. But at this point, that deployment is still a bit limited. And there's also a lot of data that's in a lot of different systems that don't always talk to each other today. So that's one of the things that we'll remedy through our recommendations with this initiative. But the main thing to take away from this slide is that it's important that all this ecosystem must work together, the people, the processes, and the technology, in order to really enable and digitize our touch points and provide those valuable products and services in a personalized fashion to our customers. So for example, we could go out and implement the most advanced customer mobile app on the market, but if we don't have the people, processes, and technology within this grid ecosystem in place behind it, we won't be able to really provide that full value. So that's the intent of this slide, is just to show that entire ecosystem and that it must work together. Next slide, please. So as you've just seen, that grid ecosystem is very large. And so we've decided to split our initiative accordingly into the two work streams. And although we've broken this out, they will be tightly integrated across, as well as working with the other 4 strategic initiatives as well. For our grid modernization, the goal will be to identify those technologies that enhance reliability in our grid operations to provide that greater visibility of the system, kind of that area from the substation on down to our customer locations that we don't have full visibility to today. It'll also to enhance our customer experience, to be able to provide new opportunities for products and services. That also can include the enablement of electrification for electric vehicles, as well as developing our long-term advanced metering strategy. The other thing that we will look to do is to leverage our new fiber infrastructure. That will be able to provide a lot of opportunities for us to look at asset monitoring, asset health, as well as some security technologies to implement as we move forward. For the field mobility and core office team, that group is going to be looking at our outage management systems, as well as our field mobility, including a GPS to know exactly where we're doing work at any given time. We'll also be looking at our geographic information system and look to expand that to an enterprise-wide level. As we move forward, we'll have to also leverage our enterprise-wide software and make sure that's all aligned and everything is talking and interfacing to each other to provide that information flow across. Also, we'll be looking to digitize some of our key touch points with our customers to be able to give them the information when they need it to make decisions, whether that's about their usage or whether during an event, whether to make decisions for their family, whether or not we'll be able to restore in what kind of a timely manner. We'll also, for both work streams, engage an external consultant to assist with this strategy development and integration for the project moving forward. Next slide, please. So our initiative is focused on our strategy, and we're going to lay out our roadmap for that strategy. And as we do that in future years, as we start to implement some of the recommendations that will come out of this initiative, these are some of the examples of some of the long-term benefits that we expect to see. So through that digitization and personalized customer experience, we look to improve our scores in terms of satisfaction, being able to provide those new products and services, be a platform for both electrification and decarbonization, as those will greatly impact how we operate the grid. To be able to provide that safety for our customers to kind of know, during major events, especially where our folks are, and so customers know as well when they see folks working in the area, what they're there working and taking care of. Being able to get that timely and accurate messaging to our customers is going to be critical, as well as providing that data availability so we can really do those advanced analytics to be able to do the predictive and targeted activities and maintenance on our system to enhance our reliability as we move forward through this. And then also looking at how to optimize our processes so that we can get to paperless workflows, improve data, and all of this, if done correctly, will be able to increase our employee engagement by having the right tools, the right information at their fingertips. And we also be able to, we believe, having this enhanced visibility of the system will be able to improve our large event response. Next slide, please. So with our 5 strategic initiatives that we have going, there's a lot of touch points and interface with these initiatives. They really all line up together and align well. And so one of the things that we'll be looking to do specifically within the decarbonization initiative and the customer engagement is those will really inform this initiative in terms of the voice of the customer, what are going to be the future expectations that we need to deliver on as we look to portfolio. The impacts that those will have on the grid will be big, and we'll have to make sure that we include that as we're modernizing our system. And then, as well as you've seen, technology is going to be a very big component of our initiative. And so we're going to have to line up and integrate with the technology platform, which you'll be briefed on at a future meeting, and really being able to integrate across the company to deliver that value all the way down the line for technology. And then finally, the workforce transformation. As we move to a modern grid, we're going to need to enhance our skill sets and our workforce to be able to operate that modern grid. Next slide, please. So for our project, we've engaged quite a few resources. Internally, we have about 29 folks that are involved. We've put together a great group of advisors and a core team that's working together on this initiative. And we've also will be including subject matter experts from across all business units in the project. We've identified 20 so far that we'll be engaging with, and that number is very likely to grow as we move through the project. But a couple of folks I did want to highlight for our grid modernization operational tools team. Eli Schiesler, who is the manager of our Papillion Center, will be leading that. And our field mobility team will be led by Matt Peterson, who is a senior engineer in our distribution engineering area. Next slide, please. So now we'll take a little look at a little bit of what's our schedule for this initiative look like in terms of the timing and resources. So right now we're in the process of in phase one, what we're calling the alignment and vision. So this is where we're refining the work streams, the analysis that we're going to execute on, and lining up. Start to look at what we're going to do in terms of our stakeholder engagement and our communication plans and our change management and getting that lined up. Then we'll move into phase two, which is our current state mapping and analysis. And the major deliverable here will be a gap analysis, looking at kind of where we're at with our technology. I highlighted a couple things for you in terms of our current state. This analysis is going to go much deeper into that to understand exactly where we have gaps, and then be able to come up with some plans to bring us into the modern grid future. On phase three, what we're calling scan the environment, this is where we'll engage our external consultant, as well as looking at those case studies from other U.S. utilities. We plan to do utility visits, or more likely probably virtual visits, and in the WebEx sense, to learn from others as they've gone on this journey. And then also we'll be engaging some local entities, planning entities, universities, and other stakeholders in our process, as well as we scan the environment. Then we'll move into phase four, where we're defining the future. This is where we'll develop that 10-year vision and roadmap for the modern electric system, and we'll also be creating the business cases for that technology deployment. And then our final phase, phase five, is where we will develop our detailed roadmap. So this will include the implementation plans and the technology phasing plans, which is going to be really critical to know where we have to go from where we are today to get to where we want to be. There's going to be some iterations there along the process, and we may do some things up front to gain some efficiencies, and then those may kind of step to the side and we kind of reinvent it as we go forward. But that technology phasing is going to be really important. And along with that will be, as I mentioned, with any big project, the change management and being able to identify the resources needed to implement this project once we kind of come to the end and get our recommendations finalized. So this concludes the overview of the Electric System Evaluation and Modernization Strategic Initiative. And so at this point, I'd be happy to answer any questions that members of the board may have.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Well done. I'll wait till later. So colleagues, what questions do you have?
I'll ask some questions. Thank you, Mr. Smith. So in your new role, as you take on your new role here in the next couple of weeks, are you going to still be leading this strategic initiative?
Yes, I will. I'm planning to stay on as the initiative lead, and it really lines up well with my new role as the director of customer experience, because really everything we're doing to set up this modern grid ecosystem is really to provide that experience for our customers and to be able to get them the information and products and services that they want. So I'm fortunate that my new role really lines up well with this initiative as well. So I'm excited to be able to continue on with that.
And we're excited for you. Thank you very much. I think I don't have any other questions about what you presented. I think that this is a fantastic starting point and overview of what you guys will be doing, and I look forward to seeing this unfold and advance. And it is a critical spoke to those, those to make those other strategic initiatives function. So thank you very much for leading this effort.
I'm happy to comment. So mostly on the timeline here on this last slide, how do you foresee the reporting out to the board as these phases move forward?
Yeah, great question. So what we're planning to do is kind of as we come to a major kind of update or reporting point, we'll have some periodic updates and check in as we kind of achieve some of the milestones. So there'll be some future updates as we move along. I don't know that we have the exact frequency or date of those updates lined up just yet, but those will be coming as we progress through the project to keep the board informed of what we're doing.
So yeah, maybe a more precise, maybe a more precise question. I can see my personal interest, and I hope the other members of the board feel the same way, that we would get some kind of report after a current state mapping and analysis, and at each of the phases really. And then the personal interest, I think it would be exciting to hear your technology reviews as they come to fruition, or as we'd like to hear what you looked at. Maybe not all 1,000 of them, but some of the things you looked at and some of the things that you chose not to pursue, and why that was, because I can see why a technology would fit in with our own system and not fit with somebody else's. But those are, I guess that's my hope. Any response?
Yeah, I agree. I think that makes sense that we'll be able to lay that out, especially like say, giving a look at the technologies that we look at and which ones we think make sense as we're developing those business cases, the ones that seem to pencil out as a good option for OPPD. Certainly we'll be communicating that and bringing those forward.
And one final comment on that. That's great to hear. In the PI committee, we like to say things about being the best and first source of information. I think that people get they're technophiles, right? There are people who like technologies and fall in love with particular technologies. And we've been, in talking about policy discussions, we're looking for best solutions agnostic of the technologies, but people are still fond of their technology. And so hearing from the public about what they're interested in, and letting them know why it may or may not fit, I think through the board, it would be a good thing. Thanks.
Yeah, Director Yoder, I believe as we begin to lay out phase one on the alignment and vision, you'll see a document when we come back in the first quarter, second quarter of 2021, that will lay out those specific communication points across that strategic initiative like we have in the other ones. And so we'll make sure that we do that and appreciate the comments and the feedbacks on our ongoing commitment to provide updates.
Last word. It looks great. Thank you very much.
I have one other thing, Aaron. If you could sort of discuss about one thing that I think you already mentioned it a little bit, is about collaboration with the other people working on the other initiatives. I wonder if you can comment a little bit more on that.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things that we've put in place is a strategic initiative steering committee, and we meet weekly, all of the leads of each initiative, to be able to have that time to collaborate and align and interface across our initiatives and be able to update, because they are so interrelated. It's really important that we're all rowing in the same direction. And so that committee has been a great outlet for us to be able to provide that collaboration that we need to across initiatives.
Great, thanks a lot.
Yeah, this is strange. I'm looking at a screen. I thought I should push the button to raise my hand. I don't know. Technology is weird here. So I'll speak to the voice in the sky. Yeah, Aaron, thanks for the presentation. I really like the way you presented the idea that this is a platform for decarbonization and electrification. I think it's a great concept of what this strategic initiative can be, how it can collaborate with the other work that we're doing. So I appreciate you putting those words together. That helps me understand all of what your team's going to be working on. On the map that we're looking at in the room on the screen here, I see a star for the charter overview to the board of directors. Is that something that has been presented already, or are we expecting that soon here? It looks like it's at the end of Q3, which is about now. So just curious when we'll get to that specific point so that we can be all the way up to date as we look at the future phases.
Yeah,
Thank you.
that actually is today. So that's the intent of this presentation, is that what we're calling the charter overview, or basically the overview of our initiative and kind of our timeline. So that star is meant to represent like you are here. This is where we're at today.
And so in the past, I had asked Scott Foch, and I believe that charters are an actual document with some kind of specific outlined tasks. I guess, is that something that, again, would be available for the board to look at and just to make sure we're understanding everything in addition to this presentation, if that's not something that is available to the general public, but a document that we could just make sure we're up to date on, or is, can someone answer that for me?
Aaron, yeah, this is Scott, and I'm happy to answer that. Yes, Director Williams, as we finalize those charters and as we present them, our intention is to upload those to the same place where we've uploaded the prior charters.
Great, thanks very much, Scott.
You're welcome.
I'm seeing head shakes. Okay, so Aaron, this is really great. Thank you. I've just got a couple comments / questions. I like Director McGuire mentioned the overlap of all of the other strategic initiatives is extraordinarily striking. The extent to which they sort of interplay off of one another, one drives the next, so on and so forth. And perhaps maybe this is just nothing other than a comment that it's extraordinarily complicated. I have to assume that the 2050 visioning work that we're doing as well is an input to this work. So we've got a lot going on that's going to inform what that roadmap looks like. Timeline. So I do planning for a living, and I think one of the things that I'm mindful of is planning fatigue, and looking at a 2-year time frame before we'll get this puppy knocked out and have something in our hands is, that's a while. So I guess my question, and I'm asking this for the most part out of complete ignorance, so bear with me, but part of what I'm curious about is whether or not you might anticipate that there might be some low-hanging fruit as you go through this process, where you might find there's an off-ramp. We just need to send this thing and get it going, rather than setting it aside for completion of the full project. Any thoughts on whether or not that things like that might be possible?
Yes, that's a great question, and I would say that yes, that is possible. Like I say, we're implementing some modern technologies already. I think in the past, I had briefed the board a few years ago, kind of on our smart grid project that's in Northeast Omaha, and so we've seen a lot of great value from that project, and so we're already kind of implementing some of that technology in kind of our Saunders County area this year, and moving forward with that because we've seen the great value. So I think that's correct. There will be things that we break off and continue to do. But I think the overall vision, because it has to be so integrated with all the other initiatives, there are pieces where we just kind of have to, I guess, wait a little bit till we kind of have that full vision of what all the other initiatives will look like and where we need to be in order to really make sure that we set ourselves up for the future for that true integration of to get where we need to be. But certainly that's a great point there. There will be some low-hanging fruit, and we'll continue to do that as we kind of already have in terms of implementing some newer technologies.
Great, thank you for that. My last question. So we've talked a lot about public engagement on this board. Is the plan here with this one to let the public engagement happen through the other initiatives, thereby coming kind of through those funnels, and then that's how that would be incorporated into this? I mean, we've got all these different buckets of public engagement at this point, but we don't have like a separate side program for public engagement around this initiative, right? It's built into all the other ones. Is that right?
I think I would say generally that's correct, but we're still kind of in this phase one, developing what our engagement and outreach needs to look like for this initiative, because it is a little bit different than some of the other ones and some of our traditional public engagement. So we're still kind of trying to figure out exactly what that should look like, but certainly all of the engagement we're doing around the other initiatives will definitely inform what we want to do here.
Okay. Maybe to take that a step further, maybe some strategic, really narrow, targeted key stakeholder research for this, because it's, as you said, it's a little bit more technical in nature. Okay. Any last comments, colleagues, before we move on to the president's report? Looks like we're ready. Great job. This is really exciting. I'm continually impressed at how much we have going on and how we're really leading into the reality of this industry just being transformed before our very eyes, and us not just sort of waiting for that to happen, but us taking an active role in figuring out what it is and charging towards it. So thank you, Aaron. Good job. Let's move on to the president's report.
Very good. Let's go ahead and do that. And the senators will go right to the first slide on our baseload generation. So you can see our baseload generation today on the capacity factors. Just a couple notes that may not be in the percentages here is that Nebraska City 1 had a 76-day run, which is pretty important during the summertime to have long runs without any disruptions. And it had a 99% equipment availability factor, meaning it was available to run, even though the market may not have driven it to run every single hour of the day. Same thing for Nebraska City 2, 99% equipment availability factor, but it had a 95-day run, which is pretty important during the hottest time of the year. And so it's due to the great work our teams do in preparing these units for these hot periods of time during the summer. And so just congratulations to all the men and women that do that. I think it's pretty important. Our North Omaha 4 and 5 units both had North Omaha 4 had a 98% equipment availability factor, and our number 5 unit had a 91% equipment availability factor. So all high availability factors, and again, that goes to our maintenance and our great resource teams that we have at our plants doing the maintenance and the planning and keeping them operating. Yesterday, we did give an update on Fort Calhoun Nuclear Station decommissioning, and it was just I thought it was an excellent presentation by Tim Euling, who really talked about the work that's going on there that has been completed. They have done just excellent execution. They are on budget and on time, but yet still self-critical of their work around safety, their work around their own performance. And through over the last year and a half or so, since I think the fall of 18, we have not had any lost time injuries at that facility. And we have a significant amount of employees and contractors that are supporting that initiative. And we have a great focus on 2021 with a lot of activity occurring. Let's move to the peaking station side. No really abnormal percentages here. Again, as we are doing our town hall talks on our Power with Purpose, you can see these peaking generation percentages relatively low during the last month of September, even though we had relatively warm weather. Cass County had a couple percent increase, but again, only 6% increase or 6% capacity factor for the month of September. So great work by our teams to keep our plants up and operating when the system is required and needed for the market. Let's jump to the renewable side. This month I said I was going to bring our community solar and begin to report on that, and we'll be able to do that. But renewable energy contributed to 41% of OPPD's energy sales, and wind specifically had a capacity factor of 47.1%. So pretty significant resources coming in from wind. And, you know, based on at least my backyard from Sunday to Monday, we had a lot of wind, and we still do and will today. And our crews did a great job of handling the outages relative to that wind. Capacity factor for our community solar for the month of September was 23%. And that was compared to a year to date of 22.9. So still, again, those capacity factor of those solar units really align relatively close to our peak, and that's really important for that renewable generation. On the next slide, we're going to talk about some of the things we're doing in the community. The OPPD Women's Network, they continue to do just wonderful things in the community, but yet still remain safe and look at social distancing and a variety of ways to still help in the community. They raised a variety of dollars to help support the Ronald McDonald House and really filled the pantry for families for hospital kids staying at the Ronald McDonald House. They did all of their fundraising via automated forms or through the OPPD Credit Union, and they actually filled a tote full of pop can lids or tabs that they give the Ronald McDonald House. And when they do that, Ronald McDonald House turns them in for cash and then pays their electric bill. So they just continually do some great work in supporting Ronald McDonald House in the community. OPPD also participated virtually in the rescheduled Cinco de Mayo celebration due to the pandemic. Cinco de Mayo, Omaha was rescheduled to September during Hispanic Heritage Month, and OPPD continued its sponsorship with this virtual event. It included ads on Facebook and in the Mundo Latino newspaper. Joe Robles, who's in our energy marketing and trading group and current president of our Latino Society of OPPD, our employee resource group, participated in an interview with La Nueva Spanish radio program and spoke about OPPD's commitment to a workforce reflective of the communities we serve and our partnerships with nonprofits who support the Latino community. So our ongoing commitment continues even in virtual fashions across our communities. A little bit about EV public charging stations. Again, as part of our 2019 grant, OPPD received funding for 6 new public charging stations to be installed on our service territory. And the grant was made possible by the funding from the Nebraska Environmental Trust in partnership with the Nebraska Community Energy Alliance. So these charging stations are a result of an integrated energy marketplace strategic initiative that really finished in 2017. So you can see us begin to take these strategic initiatives and begin to execute the plans around each of those. This is a multi-year pilot project to really help understand the impact of electric vehicles to the best design for future solutions for our customers. And at the beginning of October, all 6 level 2 public charging stations and graphics have been successfully installed throughout our metropolitan area. These locations, we have 2 of them at Henry Dorley Zoo, 1 of them at the NP Dodge Retail Office Development at 86th and Dodge, 2 at UNMC campus, and 1 at the Energy Plaza on the northwest corner of 16th and Howard. And so we're going to monitor these over multiple years to really collect data and determine the impacts on our planning, distribution, and equipment utilization. And so we really want to do a thank you to the Nebraska Environmental Trust for the grant funding, as well as OPPD team who has overseen and coordinated these efforts. Now, you also probably remember, we also received some Volkswagen settlement grant dollars from the Nebraska Department of Environment and Energy, and that goal, continues to expand. And so we have multiple locations along that grant to install level 2 chargers and 1 DC fast charger. And so we're working with the city of Omaha and companies in North Bend, Blair, Syracuse, and La Vista to help support the implementation of those level 2 and DC fast chargers as well. So we continue to do great work around this. And again, it was really out of our strategic initiative around our integrated energy marketplace that we're beginning to drive now these actions. So these strategic initiatives are pretty important for our future actions. And finally, as we do every month at the OPPD board, we talk about an individual that has given their life in the line of duty. And this individual is Mike Formanak. He was a lineman. He died January 19th of 1981 after making contact with a live circuit while working on a pad mount transformer on the west edge of Elkhorn. He was 36 years old, had been with OPPD for 12 years at the time of his death. He was survived by his wife, Carol, and his sons, Jason and Alan, his parents, 4 brothers, and 1 sister. And certainly just outside this building, we have several crews that are working on doing some work for future development in this area. And it's just a great opportunity to understand what our men and women do at OPPD. Some of that work is incredibly serious and can be harmful in a variety of circumstances. And just a great example of a young man who gave his life in the line of duty, service to our customer owners. And with that, that concludes our the President's report.
Thank you, Mr. Burke. Well done as always. Appreciate all of the updates and all the great work that's happening across the district. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, at this time, I would like to ask if any members of the public have any comments on other items of district business. So this is an opportunity for comments on any matters at all related to the district's business. If you would like to make a comment, please send a chat to the meeting host or use the hand raise feature in WebEx. We still have a call-in user only. Don't see one. Oh, there's one. So the call-in only, if you would like to make a comment, please press *3 to raise your virtual hand, and we will make sure we get to you as well. Okay. Brent, are we seeing, have we had any requests via the chat?
No, we have not, Chair Moody.
Okay. I'm checking for raised hands as well, and I don't see any unless I'm missing something. Am I missing something?
At this time, I do not see any raised hands. Looks like Mr. Corbin is trying to raise his hand, but it says popping on and off, but we can.
Okay. Could we make sure that Mr. Corbin has access so that we can?
Yep.
I'm not leaving this room until Mr. Corbin has an opportunity to speak. Let's put it that way.
I unmuted Mr. Corbin.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
First of all, as a public health professional for over 4 decades, I want to compliment you on your dedication to safety, and you're taking the pandemic seriously and making opportunities for us to testify virtually. I participated, I was on the committee meetings, and I have a couple of things that came to mind during that meeting. One is to revive my old mantra of the Green Fund in the power with purpose. Didn't see anything about it, wondered what happened to it and where it's going. Second is, as you know, as the chair of the Nebraska Sierra Club, and by the way, 1002 North 49th Street, forgot to say that, David Corbin. You already know our opposition to the gas plants, so I won't belabor that right now. I was a little bit disconcerted in the discussion about the legislative resolution, which did not make it to the agenda today. And the discussion, some of the discussion seemed to indicate that if you put this in writing, and the thing that was the most disconcerting is that if you did that, then there might be pressure from the public. This is public power. Public is supposed to weigh in and say that. And it almost seems as if there's a fear of putting the word climate change in writing. You have taken the COVID pandemic very seriously and looked at the science of that. I just encourage you to take the science of climate change equally important and act accordingly. So thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Dr. Corbin. Okay, I'm pausing for any other hand raises. And I'm also looking for the usual suspects out there to see it. Okay, any requests via chat?
I have not received any requests for the chat.
Okay, and I don't see any additional hand raises. So with that, I think we can conclude the opportunity for comment on other district business. And before we adjourn, I would say two things to the public. Number one, please continue to be diligent in your mask wearing, keeping 6 feet distance and avoiding crowds. Pandemic is serious, and I hope we continue to take it seriously. And finally, go vote. There's an election on November 3rd, and I hope everybody participates in the election. And with that, we're adjourned. Thanks, everybody.